it's insane.
Picky.
It really is insane to me. Like, because you feel like obviously starting is like, okay, I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
And then you start asking for stuff. It's like, okay, I might be getting a little bad. And then you actually see what that kind of like happy medium of, okay, this needs to be done versus what maybe I'm asking too much. But then it's like, is there ever too much? Because it's my.
I mean, bro, like if you, exactly. I mean, if you look at the biggest stars that like their shows or something's like incredible of theirs, those are the pickiest motherfuckers out there. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure you've heard this one before, but anybody ever tell you you look like Webby?
Yeah, bro.
Okay,
a lot.
I was like,
especially with the hair under here, bro.
I was gonna say, bro, this can't be just me for sure.
A lot. I got Webby. I've got Plies. I've got.
Oh,
I can see
Plies is a good one.
Plies
is a good one.
I've got a lot still. I've got that a lot.
I can see more Webby, but I can see Plies for sure.
Most recently, I don't really see it too much, but I got amped when I heard it. You guys watched Fresh Prince before, obviously. I know you have, because we talked about this when we lived together. But you know the My Brother's Keeper episode, the basketball episode.
The basketball episode.
Where he's playing dude from across town, Malibu.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Malibu point guard, that's what they said I look like.
I gotta remember how this guy looked.
That's the one that had the kid.
Yes.
And then Will feels bad at the end because like he has a kid.
Yes. They say I look like him. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but he gets women, so I'm
I'll take it.
I'll go with that one.
Hey, Plies and Webby get women.
You see what I'm saying? But Webby, I don't know where he is. You know what? It's like Plies still a little bit active.
True.
I don't know what Webby's on. Like, you be a drug addict and someone tell me I look like a drug addict. I don't want to be there.
Crazy.
When those guys fall off, it's never graceful.
Never graceful. Never graceful. And you're hot for a little minute too, like in the grand scheme of things. Straight
up. Like, well, I don't even know. Well, he probably had like one or two hits, I think.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, like, well, 3 years.
There you go. That almost would be sucky to like be that guy, because then it's like everywhere you go, somebody's
made it.
Like, yo, like, so what's up? What you doing nowadays?
No, real talk.
Shit, you know?
Real talk.
Like, I have a regular job. I'm working. Even if you have a good job. Like,
facts.
even if you have a good bank manager or some shit, they'll be like, yeah, I'm a bank manager. And I'm like, what?
It's not what you were doing, bro. I didn't expect
people hear job after you're famous, they're like, so
you're not famous.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell, like, that's good and all, but you mean to tell me you're not famous anymore.
Oh.
It's almost a what did you do wrong?
No, literally.
Like, so
what happened?
Literally. And you gotta try to explain it like they're gonna understand. They're never gonna.
Yeah, right?
No, not here. This will give you a voice of what you should have did.
You see what I'm saying? That's what's coming off as. It's never the same, bro. It's never the same. You're not talking to people that understand the ill.
Should have tried R&B, dog. You know?
Facts, man.
Oh man. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on He's a Guy Podcast. Your host here.
Co-host here, Tychon.
You know what I mean? Stef in here, back in the building once again. And we have a special guest. Introduce yourself, man. Tell the people who you are.
Yeah, my name's Aime. One of Tychon's boys. One of your boys now, too. So
appreciate you, dog.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you stopping in. Remember to, we're on every platform at this point, you know what I mean? Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Check us out on Instagram at He's a Guy Podcast. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Gentlemen, so today we are getting into a little more serious and what some people may call heavy, but I don't know if I want to hang my hat on that one. I think we should kind of break down, our topic title, which is grief, and kind of give it a better understanding, to those who are viewing us and listening, and kind of let them know that it's not a negativity thing. It's something that we should embrace and go through. But what do you guys hear when I say the word grief? Like, how does that make you feel?
I mean, I can kind of start off, but I kind of what you talked about right there, just the negativity thing, like something you said something that we should go through. Like, bro, you're gonna go through it regardless, anyways. Like I think as guys, I'm sure we're gonna talk about this, but as guys, we're expected not to go through it.
Exactly.
Everyone's gonna go through it.
At least let it show, right?
Exactly. So like, how do we deal with that thing? Is like, at least for me, or like when we talk about it with Tychon and some of my friends, it's like how do we actually accept it and like talk about it right now, like this right now, and then fully like embrace that part of the process within life, So
yeah, definitely making it comfortable is crazy.
Yeah, like
it's crazy to think. Sorry, but
yeah, it's interesting because like this topic is one that Aime actually introduced me to. Like just learning about the grieving process,
even though we go through it.
We all go through it, but it's not something that like we accept as a process. It's not a process that we take the steps through.
Right.
It's almost like something that we just sweep under the rug.
For sure.
Like when I hear grieving, I don't think of men. Like when I think of grieving, like the grieving widow. Is like usually like a woman.
Yeah.
And the only time I hear grief in a man's term is like, I feel like there's a cartoon character that says, good grief.
Oh, man. Who was that? I know who that is. That's going to burn me. I'm going to figure it out. We're going to get back to that.
But there's no masculine context that I think of grief. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, Aime is actually the one that put it to me. And it's like, oh, shoot. Like, I've had all kinds, like, grief to me is like how you process a loss.
Right.
Like the process of going through a loss.
Right.
And it doesn't just mean someone who died necessarily.
That's another thing.
It's just loss in general.
Yeah. That's another thing I think sorry to cut you off. I think that's another thing that a lot of people try to frame it as when you're losing somebody, right? But as you just stated, it could be absolutely anything where you valued and quote unquote took a L in that way. You know what I mean? But if you have anything more to that.
Nah, facts. It's like it's anything you valued. It could be a relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be a romantic relationship. It could be ball.
It could be yourself, bro. Like we all have different chapters in our lives. You have to kind of let go of a version of yourself and step into a new version.
That's super.
You gotta let that go, bro. You know what I mean? Like so.
Nobody ever thinks about that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Letting go who that last person of that last version of you was. Man, I feel like I try to hold out to this.
Straight up, you know, because that's all you know at that point.
Yeah,
to be very
bro.
honest, right? So,
okay. Damn. So what I did a little research when looking up this topic. Now, part of my phone being in the camera and stuff, but one thing I found really interesting was the important areas to think about when processing grief. They say for like not so much steps, but just certain things to list in that process, I guess. One is the experience, the support, nothing in order, by the way. The experience, the support, your feelings, coping, and then the future. And I found all those to be interesting. And then I'm going to ask you guys now a couple questions from each of those stages, and you guys kind of tell me what you guys feel or whatever the case is about those things. But so, for example, the experience. If you guys can recall a time or anything that, you know, you would like to share or anything like that, it was just like, what surprised you the most about grief? That I found was so profound of a question, because we don't really take time to sit down and be like, yo, this is what really got me. We just kind of sit in it and be like, yo, this happened. Right? And then the second question would be, what was the most meaningful thing done for you during grief? And I feel like sometimes we kind of overlook any of those, but not to speed through. Going back to the first one, what surprised you most about grief?
Damn. Well, I don't know, man. Well, just to go back to what Tychon was saying, is like I introduced him about like processing grief. Weirdly enough, dude, like I was almost like reintroduced to it like this year. Damn. So we just like caught each other at like, the right time, like this year when I was like straight like learning how to process like grief.
Okay.
Like I've had like many moments starting from a kid, like, you know, like some of my story of like things that you should be grieving, like, well, you are grieving, but you just don't know how to process how to grieve, right? Of course. So it wasn't until fully like this year, when like going after getting out of a breakup, that was like this summer when we were talking about this, and then also like last year my mom passed, where I was like, yeah, thanks man, I appreciate it. Where like I was like feeling it like deeply, where I was like, holy fuck, like I don't know if we're supposed to.
Yeah, of course, bro.
I was like, holy, like I'm feeling a lot right now. And then I'm like, if I don't process this, like I'm not like even going forward, even if I become okay, you know, because we're strong, if you want to call it that, and you keep going, this is gonna leave a very big lasting effect on me.
For sure.
Right. So going through the breakup, I remember I told like my ex was like, yo, I'm going to therapy, like 100%. It doesn't matter if we're back together or not, but I'm just going to therapy. So I started going to therapy, started going through like learning about grief and everything. So I would say like the biggest thing that I learned thus far about grief was that like we've been experiencing it, and I just like been fully hiding away and running away from it. And it could have been from like what I was taught of like how men should handle grief or whatnot. But I was like, oh shit, like I'm like not dealing with my grief at all, right? And it wasn't until I realized, like, throughout it before, and this is probably what led me to the therapy, was I realized I was suppressing a lot of, like, what you're supposed to feel in grief, like the sad parts of grief, to where, and I got pretty good at it, to where even when I would have really, really good times, like things, bro, that you dream of, you're traveling, you're doing dope ass things, and then I'm like, why don't I feel so good? Like,
So
why
you wouldn't let yourself
Mhm.
get too high.
Well, I think, you know what I realized as now going through therapy too, is like, when you suppress like sadness,
Right.
it's the same, like almost like the same muscle as like your happiness.
Okay.
So it's like you're numbing yourself to not feel all that sadness. So like, it's like muscle memory. So like, even when you're in the good moments, they'll feel good, but they won't feel that good because that same muscle that feels sadness
You're not allowed.
is not allowing yourself to feel full happiness. So you can't just pick and choose of just like, all right, bro, I'm going to fully be like happy here and I'm not going to be sad here. You know what I mean? It's really the same parts of yourself. So until I was like, all right, bro, like going forward, I still want to feel all the happiness, bro. But that means I have to face like the different sadness that I have to feel. So I would say like that's probably what like the biggest thing I've learned in the experience as far as just where it got me like started with it, man.
Damn. That kind of actually brought the saying that I always hear, or not always, but that I often hear, never letting yourself feel too high or too low, just kind of. And I feel like I've never really understood how that felt like until you kind of explained that. It was like, damn, like we really kind of shut ourselves out from feeling a lot of things.
And I think for men, bro, like that's what we're taught, by the way, you know? We're taught to be like, bro, the tough ones, like the ones that like, you know, are just the cold, like not even necessarily cold-blooded, but just the smooth, like in situations of danger, situations of sadness, even situations of being like, you exceeded all your freaking dreams. You're supposed to just act cool with it, like not like freaking
act
cry.
Like you've been here.
Yeah, you know? Not cry and be like, bro, I freaking made, you know what I mean?
Embrace this utopia that I'm just from.
Exactly, so.
Damn.
Yeah, even when I think about sports, it's like, don't get too high.
Right.
Don't go too low.
Yeah.
The pressures of the moment, you got to, you know what I mean, remain calm. Brother, I'm happy in here.
Yeah.
I'm scared here. I'm happy. Like all these things.
Yeah.
Tychon, what do you, over your experiences with grief and things like that, what surprised you the most about grief?
I think for me, like, I truly, when I think about grief as I reflect back on it now, I actually really never knew what it was. Like, what's interesting about it is, like, again, I knew what it was in the sense that if you lost someone, I thought it was like when someone died.
Yeah.
And
that was solely.
That's solely.
Yeah.
Right? But now that I look back at it, it's like, it's just loss in general, loss of something that was important to you. Right? And when I think of like the different losses I had through my life, there's so many moments that I could have gone through the grieving process, but I suppressed how I felt. And that suppression came out in other areas of my life.
Yeah.
So just to give you an actual real example, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast before, and this is like, yes, I might be talking about basketball, but this is like a real situation that happened to me. And I feel like it came out in another area of my life, was how I finished playing basketball.
You told me about this.
I told you this story, right?
I was there for that.
So, I went to my last year of basketball. I played at McGill, and we went to nationals for the first time. And at my previous school, that was a dream of ours to go to nationals. Finally, we get there, and I'm an all-star on this team. Like, I'm a big part of this team. It was just one of like the most proudest moments I had in my basketball career. Like, finally, we could win a championship. Like, that's realistic. So we get to nationals, and I remember like loved my coach, loved our team. We get there. It's a 4 versus 5 game. We're favored to win the game. And during the game, it's back and forth. And now we're in the fourth quarter. And it's down the stretch. And I remember throughout that game, my coach had said to me, weirdly, get off the 3-point line. And I'm not a shooter like that. But all season, he told me shoot the ball. Now he's telling me get off the 3-point line. So my confidence is a little bit shaky. It's wavering in this game because I'm like, he's moving different. Like, he looks nervous.
Yeah, it was
so he looks nervous. I feel like I'm nervous. So it was one of those games, and I think sometimes we don't never talk about like the mental health while we're playing the sport.
Of course.
But I remember in the game, late in the game, I'm like, please just nobody give me the ball. Like, I'll be out here doing my thing, but just don't give me the ball. Cause like, I'm not feeling it right now. Coach is moving weird. I don't want the ball. Of course I get the ball.
You
know, and we're running a routine play, you know, and I'm very casual and routine with the play. I go to pass the ball, step to pass. The person I was passed to wasn't open. So I stop, but I take a step.
Travel.
I don't know if I traveled or not. Travel. Turnover. That's turnover number one. Now I've lost us the ball. We come back. The other team comes back down, scores. They go up 2. 2 minutes left in the game. So again, I'm like, okay, you know what? I messed up. Please, you guys, don't give me the ball.
So what just happened?
What happened? They give me the ball again. And I don't know. It looked so obvious that I didn't want the ball. The team double teamed me. I turned the ball over again. They come back down. I foul out, and 1. They score. They're up 4 now. I foul out, go to the bench. Now we're down like 5. I don't know what happened. Like the rest of the game was a blur to me. You know when you like see those clips where it's like there's no sound on, like the sound sounds like 2 cups.
You're zoned out.
Like you're just zoned out. Like I don't even remember what happened. All I remember was walking through the handshake line and our coach being like, "Fuck!" And I'm like,
that's tough.
Oh my gosh. I remember like no one looked at me after that. No one said anything to me. And we get in the change room and coach looks at me and goes, "What were you thinking?" And here I am thinking it's a rhetorical question. Yeah. Like, he's like, "No, what were you thinking?" So I got the ball. We ran the play. Guy wasn't open. I stepped to pass. He wasn't there, so I didn't make the pass. Next time I came down, I got double teamed, threw the ball away, and then I tried to play good defense. I got fouled out. That's what happened. Okay. Again, that's all he said to me. No one looked at me. It was silent. Get on the bus. On the way back, he comes, puts his arm around me. He goes, "Son, you'll never forget this day of your life." He goes, "What you realize is the devil is in the details. You didn't pay attention to the details. You weren't fundamental. You didn't do the things right. And for that reason, we paid for it." I bawled. Cried. The play was on SportsCenter over and over again on repeat. And the narrative in my mind was, I made us lose this game. I never want to play this game seriously again. And to top it off, when the stakes are high and I'm in the spotlight and the lights and cameras are on me, I will let everybody down. It felt like a funeral. Like no one spoke for the next 48 hours. There wasn't a laughter. It was just silent. With the guise of me feeling like I lost us the game. I ruined our whole year. So suppressing that now, I never processed that. I was just like, you know what? I'll never take basketball seriously again.
You probably didn't even hoop for a minute after that.
Didn't hoop for a minute after that. They wanted me to play men's. They didn't want to play men's. They didn't want to do anything. And I carried in the back of my mind, when the cameras and lights are on me, I will not perform. And that went all the way to being a content creator. I was so scared to show up publicly because I wasn't sure. I just felt like I would let everybody down. I was scared of how it would look. I would let myself down. I didn't grieve. I didn't have a grieving process to realize actually I was a big reason why my team got there. Mm-hmm. I was a big reason why we're even at that point.
Bro, did you ever actually unpack that therapy wise, friends, anybody?
Recently.
Yeah.
Recently, I never even watched it again till recently.
Cause I was gonna ask, bro. I've been on teams where everything you're telling yourself, or you feel like telling yourself, or feel like is on your shoulders in that moment. Mm-hmm. I can count, and we often do this as just humans. We centralize one moment as the end all be all when we have shown up in those same moments and been successful. And any other moment, maybe up until that point, or maybe in a small moment beyond that point, but because that point that centralized focused moment is so ingrained into our mind, that's the only moment we see.
Just forget about everything else. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So me personally, even being on the team with you at university, there's times where No, there was the season where you were the guy. You were the one with the spotlight. You were the one with the pass to Sean the ball because he's the guy that's either going to get us a good shot or he's the guy to finish the play. Do you know what I mean? So for you to get to a low point in your mind where it's like, yo, I'm not going to perform, and then carry that outside of basketball even is like, from my perspective, outside looking in, of course, is like, how the hell does he see it like that? Like, I understand that moment may be the worst for him, but to get that low is like, damn.
Yeah.
Because I've seen you in moments of success where you are the guy, where you are that person. And even, again, in moments afterwards, big brother, whatever else, it's like, you perform, you know? So for you to still hold that into a point of finally unpacking that is just like, yo, the human mind is so complex and
bro,
it's actually insane.
So that's what we do, right? So like, if you don't like learn how to like grieve properly in something, your brain like sways like your new perspective on certain things, right? On like how life is, how you are, and different things, right? As opposed to like fully dealing with it, the good, the bad of it, and everything, and then just like moving on. So even like when those feelings come back, you know, okay, like, bro, these are just gonna flow in, be out. You know what I mean? Because you've dealt with it, and it's like, you know, you're not just like hiding from it and everything, right? So, I mean, it's good that you've processed it now, right? Because like, you legit, bro, majority of guys, to be quite honest, is what I've seen, go throughout the whole lives, bro. Their whole lives, like just having something that's happened to them at like 12, 16, 18. And they're 75 and they're just still holding on to that, bro.
Yeah, they'll table it and never revisit it again, for sure.
And you're just like, bro, like how? So I think I'm happy that we're having this conversation. Hopefully more guys are going to have this conversation. It's like, bro, like we're just holding ourselves back as much as possible. Like,
damn.
Because you got to think about it. Like, even when I think of like my grandfather, that guy was just snap. Out of nowhere. Like, he just be like, no! Yeah. I'm like, bro, what are you holding on to? You know what I'm saying? Like, because imagine like from his generation. Yeah. That guy was burying everything.
100%.
You know what I mean? So he's mad at people and they don't even know he's mad at them. Holy shit. Like, he's mad at so many people.
You don't even know what he's mad at.
No, not at this point.
You know what I mean? Like,
so many things could be the reason, right?
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, that's when you don't grieve. You hold on to so many things and it affects so many areas of your life and you don't even see it. Like, even for me with this, it's like, it's even beyond the fact that I was scared to be in the public. I could have maybe even played pro basketball and had a whole career that I never even considered because of that moment. There's probably so many things I didn't even try and do because I didn't want to be seen anymore. I'm like, I do not want to be seen. Yeah. Big Brother was just happenstance. That wasn't something I wanted. Yeah. That just happened. But like, if it was up to me to make that thing happen, I didn't want to. I didn't want to be seen. I was scared of it. When I'm seen, this is what happens. That's your whole version of your truth shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your whole perspective shifts. Which is probably why my grandfather gets randomly angry all the time. Yeah. It's like his truth is like, it could just be everybody's against me.
Yeah. And bro, and the crazy thing about that is like, he won't know. Like, he won't know that that's like how he thinks, right? It's just like engraved. Like, the more, like, if you wouldn't probably, if you hadn't processed what you processed about like missing the plays and whatnot, and like thought like, okay, yo, I think when the spotlight's on me, like I'm gonna drop the ball or different things, right? If you didn't process that, you wouldn't even know why you won't try out for these things or anything. You're just like, we're guys, bro. We'll make up any excuse. Like, I ain't feeling it, bro. What? Like, anything like that, right? Like, until you start processing is where you start knowing, like, oh, that's why I am where I am. So we're talking about, like, say, Gramps, and maybe it is or maybe it's not, but and a lot of people, it's like, when you don't deal with your shit, bro, like, you don't even know why, like, you don't even know that you think like that, by the way.
For sure.
And you don't even know why you think like that until you start, like you said, like, just dissecting it, like,
it's all subconscious.
Processing, yeah, straight up. Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, even in the process for myself, even for grieving, I know I mentioned before my grandmother passing. I remember when and it's kind of weird, right? Especially for me, because I've always been the type of person to be like, yo, especially with older folks in my family, it's like, yo, I remember my grandpa a couple years before my grandmother, he had passed as well, but leading up to that, it's like he's been going through so many ailments. He's just like, you know, that same grandfather type of lingo where he goes, well, I say, what's up, grandpa? And be like, well, still here. You know, like, and I'd laugh at those, but it's like, yo, stop being like that, you know? But to him, it's like, yo, I only have these many reasons to live for, this, that, and the third. And it's like, if I get to that age and I start to feel like that, I'd be like, yo, let me go too. However I go, right? Until that moment of actually having to let go is. And for me, I could totally understand it, but it's just like, you're kind of there in that moment of, like you said, that kind of zone out time. So I remember even going to, I was just either deaf, my grandfather or my grandmother. I heard about it. I was kind of like in a surreal type of mind frame where it's like, damn, I just lost like these people that always been here in my life. You know what I mean? And you kind of have like tears roll down. Even if you don't cry, you may suppress the cry. But any of those things, just like, you're just doing it. You know what I mean? I don't know how that sounds to anybody else if they relate, but obviously you're sad and it'll show, but it's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know how to describe why I'm doing this. I don't know any of it. I'm just doing it. But if at a moment's notice you were told me to stop, I could stop. You know what I mean? Like, it was, that's how much I suppressed it in a sense, you know? So that's what I feel like the surprising thing for me was. And even you explaining about basketball, I don't think I knew how much I cared about it until certain chapters of basketball in my life was over. You know what I mean? So like, for example, being done with high school, I loved my high school basketball teams so much that when I was done high school, I was like, I know I'm going to university to play, but like, this chapter is over. I remember when we lost our last game, we lost to DY in the semifinals before RAPSA. And I just came back to our gym after the bus ride back. I came back to the gym and I just sat in the gym. Nobody else was there. I somehow got in this gym. No coach, no player, no nothing.
Like a movie, bro.
No,
I pictured a movie scene, though, where the lights are dim too.
Bro, I'm just sitting there and I'm looking at the center floor. I'm like, yo, I'm never going to play here officially again. Like, I could play for runs or whatever, but I'm never going to play here officially again. University, same thing. When I was done at university, I was like, I'm not even a student. Like, I woke up one September morning thinking like, oh, people are going back to training camp, people are going to class. I'm none of these things right now. I got to start real life work.
Yeah. And not to cut you off on that one, bro, but like, luckily when I played like in the uni and I like noticed my teammates, like the older ones before that, like graduate and I kind of peeped that, like seeing them through that, like just kind of like started figuring that out. So luckily I peeped that earlier because I was like, when you're a student athlete, bro, you really just see yourself as a student athlete.
That's
you
it.
really just don't even think about life after, bro.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So like I legit would see my teammates graduate, or sometimes they just finish their 4 years or 5 years and like they haven't even graduated because, you know, sometimes you're just an athlete, you know, you're just getting through whatever you need to get through, you know? And then they're just like, oh shit, like what now? Like I'm not that anymore. Like I'm not an athlete. I'm not going to get this like hype that I get all the time and people are giving, you know, I can get through class or, you know, get all these different things, these privileges, you know? And it's like, you can tell, like, it's like, bro, like, it's the shock of it, like, the death of it, bro, like, and like, it's like an unexpected death.
100%.
And I've seen it from them where, like, I don't know if they never thought of it prior to it happening.
Yeah.
But then I would see it and I was like, oh, shit. Like, and for me, I knew, like, I'm just playing, bro, just to, like on a scholarship or just to go through school and everything. But I'm like, I ain't going pro. Like, I kind of just knew that, you know, I know there's a vehicle. So I was like, oh. It's almost like I faced my death like earlier because I was like, oh, I don't want to get there and like
have that realization,
that shock, right? So it almost like hit me like earlier, but just to like go through what you're talking about, it's like, bro, like I saw like that death in them like right away, and like, bro, some people can handle it well, some people cannot too. To be quite honest with you, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, bro, just going back to what you're saying earlier, just like, bro, it's the grief part is in so many different ways, bro.
Shows up in so many
you know what I mean? I'm sure probably like, depending on what you guys are going to name this, but like people are just going to think we're going to be talking about like you said, death, but it's really just, bro, it's so many events, bro, like every year, I'm sure everywhere. Like,
bro, it's so many forms it shows up, right? Around that same time I lost my grandmother, I had a breakup. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe like officially, I'd say maybe I'm like a month and a half just removed. So I could tell you now that it wasn't so heavy of the breakup. It was more the grandmother loss, but just to have the two combined in such a short period was like, holy shit, is anything going to go right? And what's insane is a lot of things were going right outside of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, we come to that centralized focus moment where we're like, bro, these are the two heaviest things that could have happened at this moment that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
I don't know how to deal with it. And like you said, it's kind of one of those sweep under the rugs or we'll table it or whatever type of phrase you want to use. We're just not going to deal with it now.
Yeah.
And it's like, it rears its ugly head, as you pointed out. But in that, I want to transition to the next kind of experience that I thought, or sorry, the next type of stage or whatever is the support, right? I know we don't seek it as men, especially, but what resources have been the most helpful to you in those moments? Like, what helps you unpack those if it's not therapy for those that haven't? Like, anything outside of, you know what? I'm not even going to limit it to that. What has been the most helpful resource to you?
Shit, man. I have a loaded answer on this one, to be quite honest with you. Like, I would say, like, I have, like, two ways of how to answer this, to be quite honest. Like, I would say, like, I had, like, a good support in the beginning, which helped me, like, get to, I guess, this part. But it ended up being not the best support. And, like, I learned how, like I can tell you the second side of support. First support is, like, my mother, for one. Like, when, like, I mean, he knows a little bit of my story. I'll share a tad bit of it. But, like, I was born in Rwanda. So when I was two and a half, something like that, that was the genocide. I don't know if you ever heard of, like, the genocide, like Hotel Rwanda, the movie and whatnot. But yeah, so I was a baby. I don't remember anything. We talked about this, but that's where, like, about was just like the whole summary of it is, like, in 100 days, basically, like, 1 million people were, like, killed, slaughtered, you know? And I was basically on the other side of it, like, my family and stuff. So I, like, lost my pops, my grandparents, like, all of them, a bunch of my, like, half of my aunts and uncles and whatnot. So I don't remember this and whatnot, but so then after the genocide, we grow up and everything. And, like, bro, I had, like, the toughest mom of all time. Like, the most, like, the best heart, but, like, just tough as nails. Like, just the way, like, that's where I just express it is incredibly, like, just think about, we're talking about losing one person. Now you're losing half of your family in the most cruel ways, right?
Yeah.
So, like, for her, bro, she just, like, picked up, raised her kids, adopted more kids, brought us to Canada. And her idea, and, like, that she always pushed through me, especially because I was the oldest, like, boy, was that you gotta be strong and you gotta keep going, you know? And she always still had, like, a really good outlook on life. So even though you face some of the craziest things, you still have a good outlook on life. So she still, like, instilled that in me. So I guess to answer your first question is, like, the first part of the question is, like, that was, like, the best support at that point, because, like, I think through, like, some crazy darkness like that, it's easy. And I've seen other people, like, have a really bad outlook on people, on, like, life people, and also just be, like, weak. And it just, like, it's the excuse to, like,
mosey on after
that. You know what I mean? So I've seen her build herself up. So even when that happened, I still always had a good outlook on life, and I still, like, just got strong. And I was like, yo, like, whatever happens, that or anything along, whatever losses, I'm gonna pick myself up, and I'm gonna, like, see the light within within life, and, like, all the privileges that I have, and I'm gonna go after it. And it served me for a long time, to be quite honest, right? And then it wasn't until, like, say, like, losing her last year, going through a breakup recently, where I was feeling, like, all that, like, those things. And I'll tell you, like, even this, like, even when she passed, bro, like, I almost, like, the night she passed, like, I didn't cry, bro. I was like, all my family, my sisters, everybody's, like, crying, and I'm just, because she had told me to be strong, like, prior to that, because she passed, like slowly, you know? And so I'm just there, like, being there for everyone, you know what I mean? Because, like, that's what I thought being strong was, you know what I mean? So, like, in a weird way, that was good support, because, like, she gave me the strength and, like, a good perspective on life, but also not being able to process it, like, all that stuff. It's like, suppress all your emotions, bro. Like, numb yourself and just put on that tough face, because that's just what you're supposed to do as a guy, as the oldest man in your family type thing, right? Then, like, this year starts coming, then I start kind of seeing, like, bro, if I keep just suppressing shit, like, for one, it might just blow up one day, to be quite honest with you. And then two, it doesn't matter what great things I want in life. Once I get them, I might not even feel that great, because I'm suppressing, right? So that's why, like, I started kind of, like, I started doing the therapy. And then going to the second part of the question, like, the support now is, bro, I just have, like, some really good friends in my life that, like, just ask me, like, how I am, bro. Like, or even, like, also my sisters or different people just, like, how are you? Or, like, and then I'll be like, I'm okay. And I'll be like, nah, bro. Like, what's up? How are you? And everything. So just, like, and mind you, there's some times when, like, even the process where I didn't answer. or I still said I was okay because maybe I haven't processed it yet, or I wasn't ready to talk about it. But just the fact that like they continuously like ask that, it created that space to where it's like now there's times because I'm processing it more, and there's way more process I got to do, obviously. But because of that, there's times when I'm just like feeling like crap, bro, and I'm just like, yo, my guy, let's go for a walk, bro. I'm in a dark hole like in my room right now, you know? And it's just like, and now I know like, okay, like I can feel like crap for a little bit, but then also I can't stay in it. So it's like, what is my outlet right now? It's like, yo, let's just go for a walk with my boys and just talk about it. Or even like some of my homegirls, to be quite honest with you. So I guess for me, like that, the new support is just that space of just me like not having to be strong, you know, not having to freaking act like I'm just the toughest guy and just, I can hold it all together and everything and just be vulnerable, be weak, be sad for those different moments, you know? It won't last forever. That's what I used to think, like, you know, if you're sad, you're just stuck in it. But it's like, nah, bro, it's just like I'm learning it's an emotion, right? If you don't, it'll be stuck forever if you suppress it in a weird way.
Literally.
But then if you just express it, feel it, cry it out, talk it out, whatever, it's going to flow through you. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I guess that's how I'll answer that second part.
Appreciate that answer, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, like redefining strength. You know what I mean? Like, because even as you said it, like, to be strong, you have to have weak moments. You know what I mean? Like someone who is strong is not eternally like that. That's not real to be strong all the time. Like there's something false in that. And like you have to have those weak moments in order to maintain strength.
Even about like if you think about like the metaphor, the analogy of like when you go work out, like where you have to break down your muscles in order for it to grow. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have to go through some pain and stuff like that in order to
break down
get to the other get to the other side. So
damn, that's such a good answer. A lot of support. Tychon, how about yourself in terms of the most helpful resource you've had in terms of support?
I think like it's when we think of support, I don't think I have an answer that's drastically different from Aime's. It's really like support is often the people you have around you and mixed with some kind of therapeutic kind of activity and whatever that looks like for you. So for me, it's been like trauma therapy. So really like digging into even just like I listen to a podcast. Sometimes I find like support through podcasts because of the relatability. And like I was listening to Andrew Huberman's podcast and he was talking about trauma and trauma journaling. So people talk about journaling like, oh, how did my day go? What happened? But trauma journaling is actually like diving into an event that happened in your life that was painful and reliving that. And reliving it in a way where it's like, let me write about it and process. Like, how did I feel?
Do you think that's important?
Yeah, I do.
What?
And not
writing it down or what?
Just the action of reliving that traumatic experience. Because I feel like a lot of people obviously just out of, you know, that reaction, first thing to do is to help self with trauma is to, yo, I never want to touch this again or pushing this away, right? So that's what I'm asking is, do you feel like reliving that, even though it felt like the worst thing to live in the first place, the reliving helps you go through the proper channels of emotions?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
I mean, it's different for everybody, right? But like, when you're able to relive something, I feel like you're able to unpack it.
You're able to, or whatever the case is.
Yeah, yes, because it's like, again, and I can't speak to everybody's experience, like, things in life aren't necessarily good or bad, they just happen.
I remember you said that, bro. I thought that was one of the most smartest things I've ever heard come from you. And I don't know if you got it from somewhere else. I don't know. And I'm not even trying to call you dumb in that moment. But I promise you, when you said that, I was like, I thought about it, I said, yo, they do just happen. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody on either side of something like, yo, this needs to happen to Stef, or yo, this shouldn't happen to Stef. Like this, they just happen. However you come out of that.
Bro, like think about when you're talking about your grandpa, right? Something happened in the room. It happened to all of us right here. But he'll trip the fuck out. You know, he'll just snap real quick. And it's like, nothing like really caused like in the room for all that to happen. Like, it's like you're choosing that this is bad, so I'm making it happen based off whatever things that you haven't dealt with, right? So it's like, and then some things could happen. Somebody else is just like, oh, I'm still flowing through life. You know what I mean? So exactly that, bro. Like it's really never good or bad. It really is just perspective on how you take it.
Because we can't control what happens, but we can control how we react. And to me, like, think about it like this for a second. Imagine watching a scary movie for the first time. When the scary moment happens, you'd be like, you react. But imagine watching it again. You know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, are you going to jump in the same way? Is it going to hit you and affect you in the same way?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. But it's like reliving that allows you to unpack it and allows you to process it better.
Fact.
Because now you're watching the movie again. Some things will continue to hit you. It might not work for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, the Fresh Prince dad scene. I still cry when I watch that. I don't know why. I just do.
Facts.
I just do. But I know what's gonna happen. I've watched it so many times. I think I watch it when I want to cry, to be honest. Now I'm like, I need a good cry, I'm gonna watch
Straight
it.
up. And that's the thing, right, bro? Like about like, I think like dealing with like different traumas and different things. It doesn't mean like, even if you get over it, it doesn't mean you like, you don't feel it anymore. You know what I mean? I think like processing it is like exactly what you're talking about, just dissecting it and like depending on how you're gonna look at it. But you can still feel those emotions. And bro, you're supposed to feel those emotions, dog. Like if you have like your grandparents, right? Bro, if they were great grandparents and like people in your life, bro, when you think about it from time to time, you're supposed to feel sad. Because that means they're like, you feel a loss.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know what I mean? Like if you don't want to feel nothing, that they probably didn't mean that much to you, to be quite honest with you. Right? So I think like when you have to unpack it in the sense of like, yeah, you have to go through it to where it doesn't control you on your day to day and control like where you snap or like, you know what I mean? Or your outlook fully on life. But you don't have to. And I think that's what we were talking about for men or whatnot. We don't have to freaking run away from the fact that you're going to feel sad, bro. That you're going to feel like angry, like, damn, I missed that shot, you know, or whatever, bro. That's just like a things it's feelings, bro. Like feeling, we can't block a bunch of feelings. Like we all have all these feelings that we can let it flow, but like we can't be like, I think when we're talking about the grieving part, if you don't process it, you're trapped within it. You know what I mean? Like even ignoring it, you're still trapped. Like you're just trapped within, you know, that's why in a weird way, I think you have to relive it from time to time in the sense of just like processing it and not letting have it control of you in a sense of like where it just comes out of nowhere because you're just suppressing it all the time. So, and
you said something very profound to me once too. Is like when you don't relive something, I can't remember the exact words you used. Usually when we have trauma about like, usually when we have loss, there was still good in that loss. There was still good in, so if we're talking about a person, there was still so many good moments you had with that person. So I remember you talking about it in the context of your mom, but we could talk about it in any context where it's like, there was so much good that came from basketball or from a relationship or from that we now ignore because of the loss.
Yeah.
So now it skews the whole experience to like, I never want to relive this because reliving it can involve reliving the good parts of it too.
And bro, like to go off exactly what you're talking about, right? And reliving it, if you're like not trying to ignore, if you're trying to ignore it, doesn't just mean reliving that. Like say for you, and I'll give you my example too, and this is what we're talking about that time. Like for you, him not wanting to relive it was stopping to play basketball. He still loves it. We played the other day. This guy was freaking loving it, you know?
Yeah.
So, but because like he didn't want to relive those feelings, he stopped. I'm not gonna play ball for a while, even though he loves. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like even though that's where you feel like a kid, you're getting lost. You know what I'm saying. Like, and then for me, it was going back to even like where the therapy really like where I had to like, bro, I'm doing the therapy. Like I told you, like, I had an incredible mom, bro. Like she was, even at her funeral, like bro, everybody was like the whole half the city like that in our community was there. Just she was just a great person, a great mom, right? And I'm extremely grateful. But then because for a while, like I wasn't dealing with like her, like the pain and the sadness of it, but I'd have like pictures of her in my room, in my office or different things. And I started realizing like, I try to ignore looking at it. And I was like, damn, like eventually I was like, dog, I don't want that, bro. Like, I don't want to not look like that's like the biggest part of my life. Why would I not want to look at that? And it's like, like that little thing click was like, oh, I'm just trying to run from this shit, bro.
I can echo that.
You know what I mean?
Obviously not the positive part from my story side of it, but I don't know how many times I think it's under 3. I've only been to, since both my grandparents have passed, I haven't been to my grandparents' house more than maybe twice. They'd live maybe 15 minutes from me. Wow. And I haven't been there maybe more than 2-3 times since they both passed. And that was last year, 2023, May. So I've been there, I think once last year and then once this year, in August. I had to go pick something up that my sister had left there. I went in there and I was like, I gotta get out of here. You know what I mean? Just because of what, again, those happy moments, those sad moments, whatever, just that reliving of being in there. It's just like, I don't even know what this house is like without either of them here. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely can echo that, especially just looking at pictures and stuff like that. It's like, you like people that you lose, obviously, or whatever moment, like anything that you happen to take a L in, like I said, it's just, you avoid that subconsciously.
Yeah. Because, bro, like, that's what I was saying, like, those muscles, right? And, like, that you have. So it's like, if I'm trying to, like, forget the bad parts, I'm probably going to forget the good parts, too.
Yeah.
And that's for me, like, where was some of the breaking parts? Like, I'm not trying to do that. So it's like, whatever I need to do to, like, deal with this, I got to deal with it. Because, like, bro, like, I can't forget the good parts. You know what I'm saying? So
valuable, bro.
I have a question for you guys. We talked a little bit about this, but I think you kind of mentioned it in in the basketball example, like, can we prepare ourselves for loss? Because you said, like, losing ball didn't hurt you as much because you already came to terms with you might lose it. But can we preemptively prepare for grief? And I only ask this because, like, I remember, like, this year, I've cried so many times over my grandmother having dementia. Because it's like, I see things, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, she's going to forget me one day. Oh my gosh, like, she might not be around one day. Like, she's going to die. But it's like, I don't know what my life looks like without my grandparents are like, my grandmothers are like my moms. So like, life without them, I can't imagine what it would be like. And just the thought of that can make me cry. And it's like, can I prepare myself for that? Because you both talked about even like your grandfather was sick.
Yeah, it was crazy. So for example, for that, it's like, I remember kind of similarly, he has, like I said, a bunch of ailments leading up to this point, but it's like, now he's bedridden, right? He got to a point where now he's bedridden. PSW's coming to the spot, taking care of him whenever he can, whatever. But you got to a point where it's like, one of the strongest people I've ever seen in my life was my grandfather. So it's like, to see this person now so broken down where they don't even have emotion to them other than just speaking, right? It was like, I sat in that. I remember calling my ex-girlfriend at the time. I think we were even arguing, but it's like, I didn't know who to talk to. I was so in shambles that I went to the bathroom upstairs and I called her and, obviously didn't really have the attitude to speak to me at the time, but I was just boo-hooing on my side where she's like, oh my God, what happened? And it's like, nothing. But it's just like, you try to prepare or you try to understand like what the other side of that will be like. And even in, like I said, the deaths of my grandparents, like leading up to that, it's like, they're getting sick. They're obviously giving you the mindset of like, I'm not trying to fix myself anymore. I'm dealing with all these ailments. I'm kind of like ready to let it go. So however I go now is in God's hands. Yeah. Type of thing. So you start to make yourself feel that, but I don't know, for me personally, because I guess I've never unpacked it, but I don't think I've ever actually said, I understand what the other side will look like and I'm prepared for it. But in other scenarios, like you said, basketball or anything else, when it comes, it's like you prepare the best that you can. But even in that answer, I'm not sure that you can prepare for the other side. For me personally, I don't know.
I think it's kind of what he said in the sense. I think the way I look at it is like the preparation, like say the loss of like say a family member. I think it's just for one, like learning how to feel, like to be honest, like cry or different things is like learning how to feel. But then also like learning that, bro, it's inevitable that one of you guys are gonna lose each other. Period. So like I think preparing for it most like is feeling, but then also, bro, like taking it in as much as possible. Like while we're here, like, bro, I know my time with you is like limited, even if nothing's happening to me right now, to be quite honest with you. So I'm just really gonna try to be as present as possible and like legit tell you like I love you if I love you. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think that's like, not to say that's how you prepare, but then also like there are also the other part where you can't really prepare for it because like, bro, you're not gonna run from the tears, bro. Yeah, you can't run from the tears. Like,
that's what
you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, exactly.
Mean,
like you're gonna feel like shit for a while, man. Like that's just what it is. Like You're like, and you have to be okay with that, I think. You legit, like, I actually like think that's what preparing for is, like, bro. Because for me, what I didn't prepare was like, bro, I gotta be strong. I'm just gonna be strong, and like, I gotta be optimistic for myself and for my family, you know? And that was like my covering up of it. It's like, bro, it's a sad ass time. Like, you don't have to be optimistic and just strong the whole fucking time. You know what I mean? Like, you can be like, it's okay to be sad.
However
it's okay.
This goes.
Yeah, like it's okay for like a couple of days. And like for me, like that's where I kind of like, I feel like within even like the sadness and everything, we kind of have to check yourself and like have different things. It's like, all right, bro, it's been like 2 days. I'm just in my room or something like that. Let me go hoop or like go to the gym or like, you know, have like things to get out of you. But it's also okay that like, I don't really want to see anyone today or like the next couple of days. I just need it. Like, so I think it's like the preparing for it is like knowing that, okay, bro, like when these feelings come, I'm not going to run from it. Like, I'm just going to take it in, bro. Like, I'm going to take it in. I'm going to feel it. I'm not going to feel ashamed of it because I think as guys, we're like kind of meant to feel ashamed of this stuff. And then also, shit, like what are my outlets are going to be? Is it going to be like support? Is it going to be therapy? Is it going to be like calling my friends or anything like that? And even like, but when we were talking about a little bit of this, the support thing, one of the things I like kind of was thinking about was like, when I was saying like my friends, like being there for me and everything. I think it's also like what people do for you too. You know, like I'll give like one of like the biggest respect was like my ex when we were going through the breakup and I was also still going through like grieving my mom. Bro, like I had said like, yo, I'm gonna go to therapy. Even while we're going through a breakup, bro, she emailed me a list of all the different type of like therapists that I can get, right? So it just made it so much easier for me to just be like, all right, let me do a consultation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just the fact that like, even if we're like splitting, like she cared so much to be like,
help you with stuff.
Yeah, like yo, like all right, you say you serious, and I care about you enough to like help you. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's also depending on what like you see in someone. Like if you see your friend struggling and you're just like, all right, bro, like I know he's been in this house for like the last like week. It's like I can call him or I can just like show up and just like, yo, I got you some food. Let's just go for a walk or something like that. You know what I mean? Just like the different things that you think that person needs. It's like also like that's the part of support. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of like when things happen, we're like people are just like, yo, you okay? And be like, yeah, I'm okay. Okay.
Dead. We talked about that. We talked about that a couple podcasts ago, fam.
I'm blessed.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Are you blessed?
Yeah, he's blessed. Exactly. It happens all the time, bro. It happens all the time.
So many things.
Yeah.
I remember, my homie in the building I live in. So we're coming up the stairs. He just looks spent, tired, whatever else. But I know he works hard. So, long story less long. We're coming up the elevator now. He's like, yo, you're good? I say, yeah, man, I'm good. Stressed of the day. But, thankful I made it through type of thing. And, blessed to see tomorrow, I asked him now, same question. He's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I said, brother, it's okay, fam. You got like 3 kids. You got a lady upstairs. Like, you're working hard, fam. Just, embrace that. It's okay. If everything's going to be okay if it's not okay. Type of thing that, you even told me about. Just when you speak to people, kind of let them know like, yo, I may not know everything you're going through, but if you ever needed somebody to tell you that things are not okay and it's okay, I'll be that person for you.
That's hard.
So on the elevator, he came out, like he was exiting the elevator. He turned around, stopped the elevator. He said, yo, thank you. And he turned around and went. It was insane.
That's beautiful, bro.
There was one of those things where, because of that I'm blessed check-in a couple months ago, it was one of those things where it's like, damn, maybe I should do this.
Isn't it crazy how like, bro, like just like the more you learn, and like you act on it, like the more you also like free other people, like free other
100%.
people's things, bro.
Oh,
100%. How do you feel about that? Your same question back to you though, in terms of the preparation, right?
Like I learned a lot from what you guys are saying, and it's like the preparation. I really liked hearing like the preparation is in being present.
Yeah.
The preparation is like accepting that death is a reality.
Yeah, it's happening.
And the preparation is also understanding that grief is a process, right? And I think it's not preparing to numb yourself from it. It's preparing to actually be okay with going on that journey.
Yeah.
That to me, I think is what the preparation looks like. So understanding that, yes, my grandmother is going to die. That's real, right? But cherishing every moment with her, that she's here.
Yeah.
And then secondly, understanding when that does happen, that day comes, God forbid, I can feel those feelings. Just feel it.
Yeah.
that to me is the preparation. And just like being able to live through
it definitely is, bro. Let me tell you. As a person that's, again, kind of lived through that in of itself, there's literally nothing else you can do.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not even the best spokesperson for actually like living through a moment fully. But yo, the amount of time that I actually have, like, just sit there and let it be, like, those emotions, just let them be. Like, you either don't and you go through it like mad, or however, like you guys said, you just snap at certain things and they actually have maybe nothing to do with what you've actually endured. But
or you have your vices, bro.
Or you have your vices. So that's another thing that I felt like as a supporting resource for me.
the vice,
weed.
Crazy.
I was a guy with marijuana. I was a guy that during high school I fought peer pressure. Like, I felt like I was one of the coolest guys to be like, yo,
I don't do that.
I don't do that stuff, bro. You know what I mean? And I was like, yo, with basketball and graduation and stuff like that, I'll do it after that, just to prove to you guys I could go through all of high school and I'll do that. And I did that all through high school. Smoked a day after graduation. Like, yo, this is not that bad. And then I smoked when going to university. I smoked only occasionally or when I got home during the summer. And then throughout the school year, I didn't really do it. And then thereafter, it's like, yo, becoming this man has so many low points, I felt like, where it's like, all right, I'm gonna do this once or twice a week. And then it turned to, all right, 2 or 3 times a week. And then it stayed in that area where it's 2-3 times a week. But I've had success in regulating it, where it's like, okay, brother, you do not need this, so we can go a time without it, or I just won't buy it, or whatever the case is. And it's done well. But then recently, starting to unpack a lot of these things, I don't even know if it's healthy unpacking that way, but it's just like, that's the only actual time I felt like I've actually taken time to myself, sat down, done nothing else, and think about whatever else is going on. You know what I mean? And for that, again, the bright spots in these lower moments of vices or whatever else you want to look at, I feel like has been helpful, because I don't feel like I have another time. I'm always on the move. Yeah. My mom said it today, like me leaving the house to come here. She was like, always on the road. Yeah, I'm moving. It's on to the next type of thing. But it's like,
that's a vice too.
It's a terrible vice, bro. She said there's like, yo, you either, it's $100 a day out there today, she says, you know? But yeah, like, the vices is insane.
Yeah. When you're talking about the preparation thing, man, I heard this story actually recently, and it was talking about how like cows and buffaloes both like have they both have senses where they can sense a storm coming. Like when storms are coming, they have like, I don't know what the sense is called, but they have that sense, right? And usually cows run like away from the storm, and then the buffalo runs towards the storm. And but then they say that like the cow, because it's running toward away from the storm, lasts in the storm longer, because it's like it's running with the storm basically once it catches it, and it's just with it, right? So like, it's going with the storm, and then the buffalo, even though it's running towards the storm, it like passes the storm way faster, right? And it's like, it's a crazy analogy to kind of like what we're talking about life, in the sense of like, when you're running away from, like, let's say the trauma, let's say the grief, or whatever we're talking about.
Trying to get through it quickly.
You're prolonging your pain, bro.
Yeah.
Like you're prolonging, like you're just running, like you think you're running against the storm, but it's gonna catch up to you and it's gonna prolong it. But the buffalo, they say like, even though like that first period of running into the storm is harder because you're going against everything and you're feeling it more, it goes into it way quicker. So the more you're able to attack, basically, like the analogy is like, the more you're able to attack whatever that storm is, it's gonna suck for a little bit, especially at first, because you're just attacking it right away.
Everything.
But you're not prolonging your pain. You're actually like learning how to like deal with it right away, as opposed to like, or it could be years. Some people don't even have, like, sometimes running with that pain is the rest of their lives, bro, to be quite honest with you. As opposed to like, if it's therapy, if it's talking about with your friends, whatever you have to do to deal with that thing, is like, you're facing it head on. Shit might suck because it's going to hit you hard.
For real.
But then you learn how to like get past it, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought about it when we were talking about the preparation
That's
thing.
dope. I never knew that at all.
That's a great analogy. And you know what? Even like speaking to both of those things, like, I also want to highlight, like, vices are not always bad. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes vices are just a coping mechanism for a moment. Like, I remember going to this panel and watching this professor speak on, like, it was a mental health professor speak on mental health. And I went to him after, I'm like, how do you cope with hard times? And I say, yo, my nigga, sometimes I turn up with my friends. I said, what?
You never think like
I didn't think he would say that. And he goes, I'm like, I thought you were gonna give me some profound, like, I read and I journal and he's like, yeah, like, obviously sometimes that's a great way to deal with it for me. But sometimes I just need that night where I get lit with my friends.
say fuck all or something.
Or I smoke or I drink. Like, sometimes we need that, and not to feel guilty that we did that. I think when that becomes the only thing we do,
you can't control it. Like, you can't control it.
That's where it becomes problematic. But it's like acknowledging that we're human, because sometimes it's like we feel like devices can only be these pretty healthy mental health approved type of things, where it's like sometimes it might not be the healthiest thing, but it's okay to indulge in that for a moment and not look at yourself and judge yourself for doing that in a negative way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Remember the other day when I told you, it was like, one of your episodes for Tychon Tries, you should go to like one of those smash houses where it's just like, it's glass and everything. You got a baseball bat and you're just smashing everything. It's just like, bro, like, those things exist for a reason. Like, bro, there's some days where like your boy that you were just talking about in the building, like, shit, after a long day, he might just need to just go and like, pay for that, get all that energy out of him and go back home and just like feel lighter. You know what I'm saying? So
that energy, you gotta move. You ever see those movie scenes where the guy comes home and he's just breaking stuff? He's just like, we don't do that in real life.
Slam doors, stomp up the stairs, all type of
just
stuff.
To make sure for the viewers, when I say smash houses, I'm talking about the places where you go and they have vases and all this stuff, and you're breaking. Fam, let's just make it clear.
It's true. Let's clarify. Smash house is crazy. The man said some crazy shit. Remember Theo the other day? 4 guys on a hole. He's talking about
hey, man, I tried to let that die with the video, my guy.
Clarify,
That's funny.
Speaking of, preemptively trying to get through moments or trying to focus on happy times and stuff like that, and being a little bit more present. One of the stages is the future. Actually, I wanted to see how you guys actually went about this in depth. Now, it doesn't have to be an actual person that died or anything, but even any of those heavier moments that you've gone through, how have they shaped you or shaped your values thereafter?
You can go first.
It's deep.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of this one's not an easy one.
For me, I could say, even in what you're talking about, I felt like, because again, I got goals, I got things that I want to accomplish. I'm always on the road type of thing. I'm always trying to be on to the next. I'll try to squeeze in things. And if I can't make it now, I'd be a little bit more honest, but I try to get as much things done in a day as I can. Right. But after my grandparents had both passed, I realized how many times that even my grandmother had asked me to just come over and spend time. And you brush off those moments like, oh, I'm doing something for me. But I'll be over there. But like when I get there type of thing. It's not like a forefront type of thing to deal with. So now when any of the family tries to call and be like, yo, we're doing this, I try to be there for any of those waking moments. You know what I mean? So I feel like the death, well, not even so much a death, but the loss of my grandparents have kind of shaped my values to understand that family time is something to be a little bit more intentional for me. Yeah. Right? So that's an example I have for shaping my values.
Damn, okay. I got a couple answers, like kind of based off of like what you mean by that. Well, for one, bro, my therapist, she gave me this sick book that if anybody's ever dealing with grief, it's called the Grief Recovery Handbook. The Grief Recovery Handbook, yeah. Okay. Super sick, man. Honestly, like it taught me a lot, like how to break down like my grief or any kind of grief, right? And when we talk about grief, one of the chapters talks about like when you lose someone or something, one of the things that you have to grieve is a future that you have perceived or you have planned with this person. So you're not just losing that person. Like, like you like say if it's a breakup, like bro, like you've planned these next 2 or 3 years together. Now you have to reevaluate your life, bro, because you're like, oh, next year I was supposed to be da-da-da, da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like you're grieving that idea of your life. You feel what I'm saying? So
that. Oh my God.
Even like, yo, I'll give you a crazy one. Like even for me, like with my mom, like I'll be honest, like this one was tough where I had to reevaluate my future in a sense, where it's like, but when, I mean, I'm guessing all Black boys like have the goal was like, yo, I'm buying my mom a house. I was legit on my vision board.
She needs
that's like on my bucket list. And it's like, when she was gone, it's like, and that was something that drove me, right? So when she was gone, it's like, oh shit, like one of my biggest goals, one of my biggest motivations, like it's not even there anymore. So like shit, like there's parts of your brain where it's like, yo, what's the point? You feel what I'm saying? So you have to like reevaluate that part, to be quite honest, right? So that was one part that just made me think about when you're talking about like the future, when we're talking about like grieving. But I think one of the things for me, bro, of like where you're talking about like taking that time also, like where like spending that time. So say like an example with my mom part would be like, I've learned that it's like, yo, like you don't have to do the craziest grand gesture of like buying her house in order to show that all that love. It could be just like coming and kicking it all the time with her. It could be just taking her on a date, bro. It could be like, you don't gotta freaking take her to Jamaica or the Bahamas all the time. Take her to Niagara Falls, you know, like just like do what you can do to like show that love. You feel what I'm saying? So like, I think just like learning, like that's one of the, like the lessons of just like learning, like, bro, everything doesn't have to be grandiose in order to like, you know, make these people, whatever it is to feel. It's like, bro, exactly that. Just be present and like show up with them, right? So it's kind of like learning like, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn within these losses, right? So I'll give you another example, like with my ex, like we're like just breaking up. Like I used to think that this is what I wanted, like breaking like down like my like the grief and everything, and like the loss was like, I used to think that in a relationship, you're gonna have that butterfly feelings and all that the whole time, because like this is what I would say like my first real adult relationship, right? So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be lovey-dovey all the time, right? And then it comes, and then you realize you're like a couple years in deep, and you're like, oh damn, it's not that. It's not just that, right? So, and then going through like the loss of it, I realized that, like I had to like learn, like, bro, like love and being like with someone for the rest of your life is a decision. Like it's an actual decision that you're choosing every day, right? And so it made me realize, in the sense that going forward in the future, as we're speaking about, like this grief is supposed to teach me that, bro, whoever I'm going to be with, like, bro, you have to be intentional about making these decisions, even if you don't feel good about like that day or anything, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I guess when we were talking about the grief part, it's just like the future aspect of it is like, what are the lessons once I get past like feeling the sadness and everything a little bit, like I believe in God, right? So like, I think God puts different things along your path in order to like teach you different lessons, depending on if you're paying attention, you know? So it's like, once you go through that pain, you process it, it's like, all right, God, what are you trying to show me? Like, what are the lessons that you're trying to teach me?
You open yourself up to that.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, those are some of the lessons for the future that, like, I'm realizing once processing is like, all right, yo, this is what it's trying to tell me to be better going forward, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Still over there?
Still over there? Yo, I'm still thinking, to be honest. Like, I feel like I'm more so learning from what you guys are saying, because, like, what's interesting about it is when I think about, like, my relationship with my family and my grandparents, what a lot of you have alluded to is the fact that it just comes back to the making the best of the moments that they're still here. And I feel like I've been taking a lot of those things for granted a bit.
Likewise, brother. If you, sorry to cut you off, if you ever feel bad for those things, the regretful moments, kind of shift your mindset, because that's all you're going to have. Right? Those moments. So a lot of the time I felt terrible about all the times that even when I got together over there, I would try to rush those times to get back to whatever else I was doing. Whether it was to come over and, oh, I brought her a soup. Okay, we'll sit down and eat this with me. I would vacuum my soup up. Like, all right, well, gotta go. And I would only be there for 30 to an hour. Do you know what I mean? So like those moments, you're like, damn, man, but during that 30 to an hour, she enjoyed those times. No matter how small of a time frame it was. You know what I mean? She laugh, joke, show me this, show me that. Or look what I learned on my phone today. Grandma, you're 80-something. You don't know about this phone. Like, you know what I mean? Like those type of things is fun, right? So sorry to cut you off, but yeah, in those, relish all of those. You know what I mean? Because they're all you're gonna have on the other side, bro. You know what I mean?
I think for me, like my challenge is sometimes I get lost in I gotta work, I gotta achieve, I gotta grow, I gotta this, I gotta that. And it's like, okay, I'll go see them next week. I'll go see her next. Okay, I'll go see her at Christmas. Okay, I'll go see her. You know what I'm saying? Like it just keeps.
Those months build up, don't they?
Huh?
Those months build up, don't they?
Yo, I remember the last time I was with my grandparents was what? August?
December. 4.
December. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna go every month. It's been 4 months. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, and it's been like, well, shoot, I'm busy with this work, that work. I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, I'm trying to achieve. They'll understand. You know, and it's like that's sometimes where I lose myself is that the pendulum swings in one direction too far for me. Where it's like I just get so caught up in achieving and doing and growth and growth and growth as if they'll always be there and they won't.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it would be the worst feeling to me. And it's like, again, you can never look back and be like, and harp on what you did in the past.
Yeah.
But all you can do is look forward to the future and be like, what can I do better? And now I'm like, okay, I this is an area in which I need to improve because the time is it's not lasting forever. It's limited. Like just having the phone calls, that's the best I've been doing. But like, I can see them. I actually have the resource to do that. They won't be, there's always money you can make. There's always, like, you can always grow and achieve and achieve. Like that there's endless opportunities for that.
Everlasting for sure.
And there's sometimes I feel like I struggle with the concept of time. Sometimes I'm like, there's not enough time. Not enough time.
Yeah.
Enough time. We gotta get it done because not enough time. We gotta do this podcast. We gotta do this. Not enough time. And it's like, is it that deep? You know what doesn't have endless time? Life.
Facts.
Life.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, like, the biggest lesson I'm seeing is that time is not an endless supply. It cannot be wagered with God. Like,
it's not guaranteed to nobody,
It's not guaranteed. So just use it in the way in which, just use it wisely.
I got something to like add that to that a little bit. That it made me think. What you just said made me think about this, of like what I kind of like learned a little bit part about like grieving too, about like having to forgive yourself, bro. Like within the grieving, like so like say like with your grandparents,
struggle with
you know
now.
what I mean? And even like say with my mom, looking back, like exactly what you're saying. Even right now, technically, like you're still kind of battling that. It's like I feel guilty of like not spending that time with them, like, you know. And you're gonna feel even more guilty like once it's the date is fully gone. You know what I mean? And so part of the grieving, bro, is like dealing with like, and that we're talking about death, but it could also just be like relationships. Sometimes if you fuck up in a relationship, I fucked up in a relationship. Like part of my grieving the relationship was the relationship, but then also the shame of messing up. To be quite honest with you. So, but then you also learn within like the process. It's like, bro, like part of forgiving yourself is also just like, yeah, you didn't know what you didn't know at that time. Like now you know, so you can act better upon it, to be quite honest. But like you didn't know what you didn't know in those moments, right? So you also have to like give yourself grace within it right now. So like for yourself, well, you're not like you're in it right now because your grandparents are still here, parents are still there. So okay, like you can't feel bad. Like not say you can't feel bad. You can't harp on the fact that like, yeah, you haven't been doing that or whatnot. But now that you know, you can like, now you can act on it. You know what I'm saying? Like you give yourself grace. Like, I didn't really take that in, but like now now I'm really realizing that. And it's like, shit, that day coming, you feel what I'm saying? So then now you can act on it, right? But yeah, I think like that part of, I don't know if you've experienced that
100%
too, but
100% in terms of the grieving process of just forgiveness and grace to yourself. Bro, again, I feel like we always say this as a human. We always say this is we're not perfect. But boy, do we hold ourselves to perfect standards.
Straight up.
You know what I mean? In any event, we try to be like, yo, well, we didn't do this. How could you not do this? You know, we talk to ourselves like, you know what I mean? Like we really hold ourselves to this, yo, immaculate, never make a mistake type of standard while making the mistake of, you know what I mean? So it's quite an oxymoron to live in.
We're a worst enemy, bro.
You know what I'm saying? So
crazy.
100%. That's why I can tell you from my side of things now, it's like, brother, kind of shift your focus. Like obviously you're going to feel that way regardless, just because it's natural. But if you can shorten that, that time frame of when you do feel like that, it's just being like, yo, the times that we did have, I was authentic, and we both, or I could, even if it wasn't for me, right? Because like I said, I'd rush through those moments, right? But I could see the enjoyment through them. Mm-hmm. That's all I needed, right? In retrospect, now looking at it, it's like, damn, bro, she's happy. I wasn't she lived to 80 something. My grandpa almost 90. Like, they didn't get to see me be no millionaire. I didn't get to buy them no house. I didn't get to have them retire. Like any of these type of standards that you would think socially anyway. I didn't have any of that for them.
Yeah,
they were happy.
Yeah,
they were
and
proud.
It's bro. I think it's like exactly what you're saying. It's like just be intentional, right? It doesn't always have to be like I said, like you don't have to always put the stress on it. Like it has to be every month or like all these. Just like be intentional is like just all right. I'm planning this out like to where it's like it's doable for me because it's also you can also really do what you can only do, to be quite honest.
Literally,
right? Like that's what part of giving yourself grace is. You know what I mean? And I think like the more you're intentional about it with them, like they're grown, bro. They know how life is. You know what I mean? They probably see everything that you're doing and everything, so they'll appreciate that. You know, and like I think as guys too, I know this is not the topic that we're talking about, bro, today, but also just realizing like I can only do what I can like I can only like do what I can do, right? Like not trying to like, even though we're like ambitious and all that, they're just trying to take on the world, bro. Like, you know, thinking like you can do everything for your family or do everything for you know what I mean? Like, shit, I'm only one person. I can only like, as long as I'm intentional with what I'm trying to do and like you can feel it, that's all I can really like. That's really all I can do. And I have to be happy within myself. You have to be happy within yourself to like, yeah, bro, I did that, and then I hope they appreciate it. Even if they don't, it is what it is. Like I did what I can do, you know?
No, you make a really good point. I think sometimes as men, we try to be superheroes and be responsible for everything and for everyone. Whereas like, even like my relationship with, you make like, just thinking about it, like it's still a two-way street, right? And it's like, she has feelings about the relationship. I have feelings about the relationship. And it's almost like I'm trying to take responsibility for like making sure her feelings are good and making sure my feelings are good and making sure we see each other, making sure, and like the phone call every so often, every week, that could be good enough for now for her knowing what it is I'm trying to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, it's like she's proud of me.
That's what I'm saying. As long as you're transparent in those things, brother.
Yeah.
Give yourself the
and bro,
grace
people know, like bro, they'll see they have other people in their lives where it's like, oh, like at least I know Tychon's hitting me up every week. I have other people that like I might see like they're closer to me around here, but like I don't even hear from them, right? So as long as they know, like, all right, bro, like my grandson, like he cares about me, like he's a busy ass man and everything, but like he still makes this time. And I know, like, bro, they're grown-ups, right? They're grown-ups. They know.
They've been here.
Reality. They've been here, bro. They've been here longer than us. You feel what I'm saying? So it's just that, bro. Just, like, being intentional and then also just giving yourself grace that, like, I can only really do what I can do, bro. You're only one body, bro. You can't be here, be everywhere all the time. So, yeah.
No, facts, bro. Facts. You're absolutely right.
Nah, I love this, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Eye-opening in a lot of areas for me. But a couple questions for just the men's mental health side of the grieving. Obviously, we can point to a bunch of reasons why we often hide our grief as men. I actually have an interesting question though. Now, I'm not sure. I mean, are you a father? Not a father?
No.
Okay, so
not that I know of, at least.
Those are crazy.
I was joking. For
me too.
Look. So for the three of us here, I kind of wanted to even lead this off myself.
Wait, you a father?
No.
Okay.
But because of that, actually, I wanted to see not so much fatherhood, because I know, like you said, you lost your father at a younger age, but even just in the parental, like the receiving that type of guidance, how much of an impact do you think that has on us as how we look at grief, right? Like for me, seeing my dad cry, I think I've seen it glisten in his eye. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really think I've seen him cry. Even dealing with that stuff, he has that toxic masculinity of, yo, you gotta handle it. Mm-hmm. You know, even when it comes down to women, yo, you gotta take care, make sure your pockets are full, gotta make sure that you are taken care of, because if you're not taken care of, no girl's gonna look at you and be like, yo, she wants that. You know what I mean? So like all these different things where it's like, all right. So even in my grieving stage, it's like I just never really seen even taken away from my dad, even my mother, like when it came to my grandparents passing, I think that was the strongest I've ever seen my mom be. I've never seen it. Even if it was like she took it to her room to do it by herself. I've never seen her shed a tear. And I don't know if it's because of the preparation, for example, like, my parents are getting older, starting to wither away, kind of like in terms of mobility and stuff, where it's like I'm preparing myself for them not to be here, but it's like I've never even heard a crack in her voice when it came to that stuff. So I don't know how much of an impact that has on me or whether it's society, but that's what I asked to you guys. Like, how much do you feel like the parental side of things has an impact on men and your grieving process?
I think that's a really good question. One thing that stands out to me from that is like, what's really challenging about relationships with parents and children is that a lot of times we don't get to see our parents truly be themselves. And what I mean by that is that they try to protect us for our whole lives. And in protecting us, they're almost shielding their own challenges in their own lives from us. So it's like we don't get to mirror back what it looks like to share that they're going through something difficult because they want to protect us from the world. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So in that, but I don't know how we take that as men and move forward when we have children.
That's my follow-up.
What does that look like in terms of like being real with your children about you struggling with something, but still trying to be the parent in the situation? I actually don't know the answer to that question. Like, what does that look like? If I'm a parent and I'm struggling with something, is it maybe exclusive to things like grief where it's like, okay, like we lost somebody, it's okay, like explaining the grief process, explaining that I'm going through it and having my children understand that. But when it comes to other things, shielding them to, like if I was having money problems as a father, I'd be real with my partner about it.
How do I be real?
But would I be real with my children about it? I don't know.
Like, see, now that might just be I don't know. I even wanted to say, that might be a cultural thing because we're so prideful in certain areas of our life, you know what I mean?
Bro.
But at the same time, it's like I can't speak for any other cultural.
I think, even when we say culture, like I think even like, all races almost, for guys are probably very similar to us, to be quite honest, from our culture.
Especially because money is one of those cornerstone things for men, where it's like, if we don't got it, how can we provide? You know what I mean? So like to explain that to my child, it's okay to not have it sometimes. Like, you're technically doing the most healthy thing and telling them that it's okay. But at the same time, it's like, your pride and your ego, one of those top-notch things for men, you're kind of tearing that down.
But I think, all right,
and it's almost
let me ask you guys like questions. Like like when you were talking, I was like trying to process what you were saying and everything. It's like I was like thinking about like, say for me, like for that to answer that question, since I haven't had a pops, but I've also had like friends that had different type of pops, and I was like, see like what like different good qualities that were in them, right? So I was like, and even for me as I'm gonna be a dad at some point one day, I'm like, how would I want to have fathered him myself? Especially now that we're doing the work. Like, you have a dad, and like you have his good quality, you see his good qualities, and you see some of his bad qualities. And then now you're also like trying to do the work for yourself. So it's like looking at young Tychon, or even like what's it called, like teenager Tychon, young like man Tychon, and everything. Like, how would I wanted to father myself? That's how I look at it in a sense.
That's
like,
important.
You know what I mean? Like, what would I need in those different moments? Like, not looking back, right? Like looking back of like, okay, when I'm young and I'm losing a basketball game and I'm freaking crying or whatnot when I'm like 9, what would my healthy like father part say to myself? You know what I mean? Like, just kind of like start thinking about that. That's how I look at it in a sense of like, what would I need? Also, like, haven't seen these examples, right? Like, if I see like my friends, or I don't know if you guys seen on IG, like he's like this black dude, bald guy with like a big beard. He's like a karate teacher, and he teaches a bunch of like young black men in the hood and whatnot. I've just had to like process their feelings through like
I don't think
karate and whatnot. I'll send that to you guys. But like while he's doing, like he's coaching these young kids, bro, he'll like be coaching them, and like they'll be crying because it's hard as hell. And they're trying to hold it in. He'll stop the class, and he's like having these conversations with these kids, like, "Yo, it's okay to cry."
Yo, I've seen
like,
this.
Yeah. That
this.
guy is like, "Yo," and that's why I want to tell him, "Okay, yo, it's okay to cry. Like, it's okay. You're feeling a lot of stuff. Yo, it's all right. Cry it out. Like, we're told not to cry, but you're supposed to cry it out. Okay." process is like release this energy, but also then ask yourself why, and then go back into doing like the thing. So you can do this. You're just like, whatever emotions that's overwhelming you, and you want to cry right now. Okay, do it. Right. So like just seeing those type of examples, I'm sure we all see like that either on IG or within our lives, different like good, healthy like examples. Like I try to start asking myself like, okay, like how would I, like what kind of, it's almost like we were talking about earlier when we were like, what kind of guy would you want to date your daughter? But like,
same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like, what kind of father what kind of healthy father would I want in different situations? And like trying to build like my perspective of like, as I go into like fatherhood eventually, like that's what I'm going to try to like work towards. And then if you do that too, by the way, then you start to understand like, yo, what kind of work do I need to do now in order to get to that point once the kid happens?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
So to your point, that's an interesting example, because the one with the karate teacher is very much like the challenge is on the kid's front.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid kind of has to go through that processing.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when
the challenge is yours?
Challenge is yours.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of parent would I be in a situation where like we're all dealing with the loss, or I'm specifically dealing with the loss that doesn't necessarily affect my child?
Mm-hmm.
Do I let my child see me cry?
I think I would hope, like I would love to like cry in front of my, not like bawl like crazy, but like
like a healthy one.
Yeah, like a healthy one.
I've had a couple of scenarios in that light actually, where it's like, so friends of mine that are parents, male or female, like God, mother or father, I've spoken to them, and the transparency in a lot of these situations, I think is the glaring thing, right? Now, how you address that, I'm not a parent, so I'm not all the way sure as yet. But even just in that, like when it comes to, like you mentioned, the first time that your daughter's gonna date a boy or whatever the case is, or money troubles or anything, any of those things, it's like the transparency and how we were brought up kind of also shapes how the future self will be, right? So for example, when you say about, a lot of the things that we felt we couldn't talk to our parents about because they told us we're on such, they're on such the other side of it. So like, for again, the dating even. So it's like, yo, you can't do this until this and this and this. Yeah. But it's like, but you wanted the honesty from me. But because you were so strict and stern on it being this way, I felt like I couldn't tell you, right? But it's like, had I told you, you probably could have walked me through some of these things. And now being that, like, Aime was talking about, you get to a point where it's like, yo, I don't want to be that for my child. So now kind of relating it to your scenario of it being you, it's like when it comes to money troubles, I wish I could go to some of my to my parents in some of the situations, like, yo, I just, instead of trying to work it out and figure it out myself and borrow from friends or I wish I could just talk to my dad or my mom and be like, listen, I'm going through this, without feeling the shame or fear of what that reverting back in my face would be like. Because I felt like, personally, the guidance that they might have gave it to me, but it would have come with a talking to, like, yo, you got to be better with your, like that type of talk down to. Yeah. And I never want that to be the case, right? Yeah. Where it's like, now if it's me as a parent and I'm going through a money time, I can show a bit of that transparency to them where it doesn't all the way affect my ego now that I actually listen back to what you're saying and living through some of the experiences I had, and just be like, yo, you're not always going to be the richest. Like, however you have to break that down at whatever age, it's like, yo, you're not always going to have it. Yeah.
And I think, like, as I listened to you, I think kept, like, this, like, the line kept coming in my head. It's like, bro, I mean, this applies in a lot of things, but, like, just there's levels to this shit, right? There's levels to, like, how much the transparency, I guess, that you would have gotten depending on the ages, right? Because, like, you want to, like, gradually build up. Just being real with your kids, so your kid's going to be real with you. You don't have to, he's freaking 6 years old. You don't have to tell him, like,
he's not gonna understand,
yo, fam, I'm like, I can't do the mortgage today. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? But sometimes it'd be like, yo, it's his birthday. He wants to go to a Raptors game. He even got it that weekend. It's like, yo, I'm going to take you another time. But right now, I can only afford, like, to take you a 905, But like, I'm just saying, like,
no, but we laugh at that,
but 905 like that. No, I'm just saying, but like, levels, it's like, like, it's more money or whatnot. No offense to 905, that's not what I'm saying at all.
That's the thing. I think that's what's super ironic in breaking down those toxic type of environments, right?
But it's just like, like in that particular like example, it's just like, yo, we ain't got it right now. We're going to get it. This is one of those times. I want to do this for you, but I'm going to do something still special for you, and we'll get that another time. It's just telling them like, yo, he's being real with me that he doesn't have it. He still wants to do something special for me as opposed to just like ignoring it. You know what I mean? Being stressed out. And you ain't doing that for your birthday, fam. Like, you know what? We're not going to a Raptors game.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then the next time when you do got it and you go to a Raptors game, it means a lot more. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and then as he grows older, like, or your daughter, you have like before going on dates, you like just sit down and talk to her as opposed to being like cutting her off and like, yo, listen, I've been a guy, I've had guy friends. This is how guys think a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? So as you go through this, I can't stop you from dating, but be on the lookout for these different things. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just like, you don't have to give the whole world of explanations, just like levels to it. You know what I mean? And then I think consistently, if you're doing that, then you're opening up that door, just like as we're speaking right now, right? Like when we're speaking, it's like we're creating the space where it's like, oh, shit, if you have something vulnerable, say you guys, you know, like it's just opening up that space to where now if they've messed up or if they're just curious about some stuff, they're just like, oh, well, Pops always keeps it 100 with me. So
I'm so jealous of those relationships.
Bro, same.
Like seeing how like one of the girls or my friend could go to her mom and explain like, yo.
Tell the real tale.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, yo, I messed with this guy and I caught something. Or any of those type of, like, it doesn't have to be that extreme. Yeah. But, I mean, like, but I've heard that story. But I've heard those stories before. And it's like, what? Yeah. Went to your mom and told her that? Yeah. That's something I'm like, I'm trying to sneak to the clinic. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But again, I was always jealous of those relationships. Yeah. So now looking at it, I want to take those little tidbits of my experiences in life and be like, yo, I want to apply that to me and how I can keep a open line of communication with my child enough so they also in turn are able to be vulnerable. And again, show levels in it. They don't have to be all the way vulnerable, but still let me know like, yo, there's a person that I'm interested in.
Yeah. I thought about this before, like about like growing up and like, cause I didn't have this necessarily when I had it, even with my mom or not. And I was like, how much do I tell my kids of like all my fuck ups that I've done? You know, especially my boys, to be quite honest with you, because you know, we always think about boys. And I was always like, because I feel like some parents like raise their kids acting like they're perfect. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just so unrelatable, bro. Like I used to just be like, bro, all right, so where's this coming from? If it's from me? You know what I mean? That's how I used to think, right? So it's like, obviously, like I said, levels to stuff depending on their ages, but like, instead of like always just punishing them right away, I'll just be like, all right, bro, like, I need you to not do this because for one, I did this before. And these were the outcomes of it. I'm not telling you or punishing you just to like hate on you, punish you for no reason, bro. I'm trying to prevent you because I've lived it. I don't want you to live this, you know what I mean? And that's like kind of those like vulnerable parts where you're being vulnerable. And you're just like, and he's like, all right, bro, like my pops keeps it 100 of me. So even the times when he does mess up, he comes back to you, he's like, yo, pops, I messed up. You know what I mean? Because like, just like you right now, you're like, yo, like it'll be hard to like talk to my parents about the finances and whatnot. Because they've never talked to you about the finances necessarily, and they told you like, I don't got it. You know what I mean?
I've always seen my dad have it, but then he'll tell me now as a grown man, it's like, yo, fam, I got a downside. I don't have it. So, shit, I guess it is okay to talk to you about this because you talk to me about it. But it's like, it's so much later. I'm 32, right? Like, I wish I had that now when I'm 19, 18, 17. You know what I'm saying? So
it adds depth to the relationship. And I think the other part too is like it humanizes our parents. They now become people rather than these figures that are just these people above us that we don't actually
these dictators.
They're almost like dictators. I remember like even I met this guy the other day on a dementia walk actually.
Oh wow.
And he was saying to me, he goes, you know, one thing I've learned about this dementia process with my mom, and I'm like, what? He goes, I didn't know her. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I didn't know what her favorite song was, her favorite food, her favorite color, her like all these like little things that like, you know, like in a relationship or like in a friendship, we'll know these things about our friends.
That make her.
And it makes you almost think it's like, oh my gosh, like, do my parents know me? And do I know my parents?
Facts.
Or are they just my parents?
Yeah.
They're just figureheads.
They're just, it's like they're on money. You know, you see like they're not.
Yeah.
We don't have that relationship where it's like, I actually know you.
Yeah.
I'm just your child.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you start thinking of like what we're talking about is actually like with our children being people to them. Letting them see our wins, our losses, our fuck ups, things we learned.
To a degree.
To a degree.
To a degree of
levels.
Yeah.
But also while still having that boundary of
Yeah.
I'm still your parent.
Yeah, hell yeah.
From that healthy medium.
That's why I think it's levels to this shit, right? So it's like, you can't tell them everything. But also, eventually, at some point, depending on how you raise your kid, at some point, once they're like 25, that's your homie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't almost tell him everything because he's going to live it. He's seen some things at that point, too.
And that's what's so interesting, like seeing the dynamic change from I'm not your child to that homie stage. My sister's in that, right? Where she's her upper 30s. And it's like, yo, she and my mom are like the best of friends now, but they always used to go at it as a child. So it's, man, if only is all I can say, if only. So I'm going to definitely kind of implement those things for sure, because they sound so much better. They sound so much better of a life to live, bro.
But I think like we could practice it now, bro, before we have kids. And I think the practicing is like with each other.
That's fair.
Instead of saying bless,
That's
it's
fair.
like, yo, fam, I'm fucking struggling today.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, this happened,
Right.
you know? So it's just building that muscle of just like, bro, I'm just gonna keep it real with like, at least my closest of people. So then it's just like, once that happened, like that gets there, it's like, it's just not brand new where it's just like, oh damn, how do I become like this like person that's open to like my spouse or like my kids or whatnot, you know what I mean? So
to your point too, what was so interesting too from like our men's brunch that we had the other day, what someone had said to me there was like, if my father had spaces like this, we'd probably have a better relationship. And I was like, whoa.
That's powerful, man. That's cool.
That was a powerful moment for me because it's like exactly what you're saying. It's like doing these things have an impact on who we are as men.
Yeah.
And thus has an impact who we are on who we are as fathers.
Also, I'll give you another one on this one. I had to like learn this one too. Is like, even when people are in our lives, bro, when you mess up, like learning and say sorry to them. You know, like, bro, I'm sorry. Like I messed up right there and all that stuff. Cause like, bro, think about the last time your parent told you sorry when you were growing up. And like, bro, there's times when they probably like came home stressed and just yelled at you for no reason. Like you didn't do nothing. And they probably felt bad about it later on. But their pride, or because maybe they don't exercise that muscle enough, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like imagine like, and there's some people that have that where like their parents comes back like, yo, listen, man, it's been a busy day. I'm so sorry that I took it out on you like that. Don't, you know, like,
I'll get no.
No, you know what I'm saying? But like, but the more you do that, like, cause bro, even as guys, we're prideful where it's like, sometimes you could be a dick to somebody and you're too prideful to like go there and just be like, yo, my bad, man. Like, I'm just having a day, bro. Like,
I didn't mean that.
Yeah, I didn't mean that, bro. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just doing that. Then later on, if you could do that enough, like later on, it won't be as hard as tell the little youth to like, yo, my bad, G. You know what I'm saying?
not even a start, but like, oh, my bad, G.
However you gotta play that.
It's not easy to you.
Yeah, it does. It does. Brother, there's something that's an ego shot to be like, yo, I'm sorry, man. Because it feels like, yo, now I'm shedding away layers like I'm less that. But if it's like, my bad, it's like, you know I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was in conflict yesterday and like I wanted to say I'm sorry and I got there eventually, but I felt my body just like,
like don't
like it's like don't say it. Like it was just crazy. And it's like it took everything. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's like immediately that flex just went down. You're like, oh.
Facts.
Yo, your body's trying to say, you did it, you bitch.
Oh my God. That's funny.
But my last question actually. Do you think men experience grief differently than women? And if so, how?
Yeah.
Straight shot? Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's similarities, I think, but I think we experience it differently because I think women feel, well, for one, because I guess hormonally from time to time in the month and different times, like they're more experienced with their feelings. So they're able to feel a lot more. And they also have the space to feel a lot more. Like it's not,
society,
you know what I mean? Like they're not judged if like, bro, at my mom's funeral, something like one of my uncles like hit me when I was almost tearing up, and he's like, tighten up, you know. But my sisters are allowed to, they're allowed to ball out. You know what I mean? That's fine. They're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? So like just that is like that space, right? So like that's in a way you're gonna for sure experience that like differently. So. I mean, I'm pretty sure maybe the grieving process is very similar in the sense of the feelings and like dealing and processing and whatnot. But in how we deal with it normally, I definitely think it's a different experience because of those different factors, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, I think women have been, it's socially acceptable for them to talk about feelings and emotions. And then, like you're saying, like, naturally, they're more emotive than we are in a lot of ways. So it just, there's more, it's normalized for women to grieve. And not to say, like, they all process it perfectly. Not to say that at all, but I think it's quite a different experience.
Yeah. How do we get better at it?
How do we get better at grieving?
This, bro.
Even like just the processing of it. Just
I think bro. Like just chopping it up about it with your peoples, with your girl, with your family, going to therapy, reading about this stuff when you're experiencing it. Like, I think that's how it gets better, bro. To be quite honest with you, like just going through it, like accepting that. I think we live in a different world too, because like I kind of think about where it came from, bro. If you think about like in the caveman days, bro, like guys was out hunting, bro. You know what I mean? We're out hunting and like things happening. Sometimes you lose one of your boys just from something happening. You're still in survival mode, bro. Like you ain't got time to be crying, to be quite honest with you. And also like if you fast forward that to now, majority of us guys, bro, are in survival mode. Like we're supposed to be the providers and we're like looked upon that. So it's like, bro, you're always just trying to survive. You're trying to, like you're saying right now, like you're doing something, but you're like, oh shit, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. One of your coping mechanisms is just being on the run, you know what I mean? It's like, so it's just like, for us, and like women are a little bit different too in that sense, but like being in survival mode doesn't give you always like the ability to just like sit down, unpack, cry it out, you know what I mean? Because you're supposed to be, what you crying about, but you gotta keep things moving, you know? So I think just changing that idea of just like unpacking it and then go back to what you like, getting what you need to get. But yeah, I think that's how like, and mind you, I don't know, bro. I'm just in the beginning of the grieving experience that much, but I think it's, just the first steps, bro. Just therapy, talking about your people's, crying it out, bro. Like, yeah.
Yo, it's so crazy.
I was gonna say, like, I think even just to add on to what you're saying, it's like experimenting with what unpacking looks like for you. Because we do skew to, like, in today's world, pushing talk therapy and talking, but there are some physical ways to deal with your emotions and your grief. You know what I mean? That we don't always encourage as much. Like, it could actually be going to do martial arts or boxing or the smash play. What do you call it?
Smash house? Yeah.
The smash house. Like, it's like exploring different ways in processing your emotions.
You ever been before? Smash house?
No, I actually want to go.
Have you been?
No, but I've seen about it. I think we should go. I'll go. You gone?
I'm there. Even because it was next to this place that was axe throwing. So, what?
It's a violent day.
But you would think those axes bounce back, But anyways, Smash House, bro, it's amazing how much, like, how simplified of an idea it is, but how invigorating and how much of a release it actually could be. Because of how simplified it is, you just never think to be like, yo, let me go smash some shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you're not supposed to do it at your in your day to day. You're not supposed to like let that rage out.
Yeah,
you know?
I think men need to hit things.
Yeah,
but just not people. But like,
I mean, that's why playing sports is good, right? Like, getting that out of you. But
sometimes it's like, it's been like, I feel like in today's world, it's like almost been frowned upon. When we think of aggressive men, we think of it in a negative way, but it's like
it's always too aggressive.
Yeah, but it's like there are healthy places for us to let out. It could be the gym.
Yeah.
It could be playing a sport. It could be breaking some shit.
No, you're right, bro. Even those guys in the gym that be yelling after they're dropping a heavy set of weights or something, I look at like, yo, what the fuck's wrong with this guy, bro?
Yeah. They probably go home feeling good.
Yeah, it could be healthy for him.
But it depends though, because some of them have the pimples in their back and the veins in their head. They're doing too much.
Don't judge. Don't judge.
Facts.
But yeah, man.
I got something to add real quick because I was thinking about this like when we were talking about this, bro, and I think like this is one of the reasons, even like, bro, from like back then when I was first fully shown that like men need to deal with like their losses and stuff. And this is a long time ago before even like I had to like fully like realize like my grief and whatnot. But it was right out of university. I was, when you graduate and you're kind of confused of going into the real world and whatnot. I went to this men's retreat in Vancouver. It was like on islands of Vancouver, just like camping basically or whatnot. And it was like maybe like 15 dudes. That was like a kind of like a guru, like teaching you, going through all these different exercises. And kind of like this, bro, like when people started sharing, gave like the room free, like, you know, freedom to like share their stories and whatnot. And I remember I was like the youngest person, bro. I was probably like maybe like 21, 22 or something like that. And there was like men from all walks of life, all the way up to like 73.
That's insane.
Right?
What made you do that? What made you do that?
I think just like what Tychon is talking about, like trying different things, bro. Like for me, like I've always kind of been one of the type of people that like when I feel lost, I try a lot of different things.
Okay.
And I've always kind of like, I like spirituality and different things. So I've always like been willing to just like try things, you know what I mean? And I think, you know, we're talking about like not having the pops. Like I've kind of had like to like pops myself into like, all right, like if I'm feeling this, where should I go, you know? So I ended up doing that. It was a blessing. But to go to that, bro, like the 73-year-old dude was there and he shared his story, bro. And it was like one of the trippiest things I've ever heard, bro. So he gets up and he shares that like, he shares a story of when he was like 21 or 22 or something like that.
Damn.
Where he was having a baby. His first like wife was having a baby. And his baby was born, I don't know what the word is, it's not stillborn or whatnot, but it's like when like the baby is born, but they're like, they have some type of like defect or some type of medical issue where they're basically dying when they were born. Yeah. So the baby was born, it was a boy, and it died probably within like 5-10 minutes of like being born. And then he shared the story of like how he held him like as his kid is dying, bro. Like his baby is dying. He's like, bro, my little boy is looking at me in the eyes as he's taking his last breath and dying. And he's like, I felt so fucking helpless, right? And then he's like, looking back at it now, and it's like 50 years, he's like, I've gone throughout my whole life, like not accomplishing and going after the things that I want. Almost like we were talking about the basketball thing. Because I've had the mentality of like, I'm helpless in this life. Because in that moment.
Holy shit.
Right? I was like, and I remember like thinking, I'm like, bro, like that moment, and that's a moment. That's a moment you never wish on any pops or anybody, to be quite honest. But that moment, because also he was saying, he's never processed it. Because he was never processed it, he was so trapped in that for 50 years, bro. So much of his life passed by because of the feeling that he was of with that moment. He never processed it. It took him till 73 to share us that and going through different exercises. And I was like, I think there's probably one part of me that clicked in there. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to get to 75 and like look back and be like, bro, like I missed out on so much things in life because like different things in life happens and shit happens, bro. Like nothing, he couldn't never prevented that, but shit's gonna happen in life. And if you don't process it, you can be trapped in it until you're gone, bro. So that was a crazy one. That was one of the times when I was like, okay, bro, whatever happens, you gotta like learn to like dissect things and like this, you know?
Part of my reaction, but I try to even just mentally put myself in that space of just not even being him, but being in that room and seeing somebody hold their firstborn or whatever in their hands, knowing that this is their life.
Yeah, and it's happened. And it's like, he's like, bro, he was looking at me straight in the eyes. Like he's saying, I'm talking about his son. I was like, and myself included, but I think I'm an empath in the sense where I can put myself, like when I'm hearing a story like this, and I'm like putting myself in there and I'm like, oh, like, bro, this would break me, brother.
Literally.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
literally.
So, yeah, when we were talking about that, like when you were talking, I was like, man, I remember that story. And I was like, yeah, honestly, for whoever's listening, bro, that's probably why you need to deal with your stuff. Because like, you can become trapped within all like the emotions that you go through in grief. And if you don't deal with them, bro, you're almost living a fraction of yourself in your life, to be quite honest with you. You know what I mean? If you like, you just hold on to like, a lot of different things. So,
yeah. Shout out to that man, wherever he is. Shout out to him.
Yeah, for real.
That's a heavy one. Wow.
And he realized it in that retreat, like while he was 73. You know what I mean? Like it took him that much time and him to like put himself in that space to get to that. You feel me? Like, bro. Yeah, dog.
Wow. That's a crazy story to leave us at. That was hard.
No, I mean, all that to say, like, real talk, like, I mean, that's obviously an exaggerated one, you know? But that is how important it is. Like, you don't want to be that guy, bro. You don't want to look back, like, before you're gone and just be like, damn, like, I let this hold me back. Even whatever it is, bro, because things are all going to happen to us, so, yeah.
I don't know if you want to transition to your game, but
Oh, yeah, we do have a game, eh?
That was insane.
We might. I don't even know.
That was insane.
We can leave off on that, bro.
To be honest, that's a punch right there. That's a nice little punch out.
Yeah, it is.
All right, well, he's a guy podcast. Nah, brother. For real though, I mean, thank you. I appreciated this. I actually opened up my eyes to a lot, and I did hear you in the last little bit you were talking there. You said that you kind of just scratching the surface of dealing with your own grief and how to go process through that. But you are miles ahead of where I am, and that is again a show to anybody that is listening and watching that it is something that definitely needs to take place.
For sure. No, I appreciate it, man. Thanks you guys for having me, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is part of my process too. So
well, I appreciate you, bro.
Man.
Thank you.
In closing though, do you have anything to promote, shout out, whatever? It could be the smallest of things, shout out to the fan, whatever.
Nah, man. I mean, just shout out to you guys, bro. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to like whoever's dealing with like what they're dealing with, man. Like I think we're all just, we're all dealing with our own things, and like for one, just let's give us all grace and just keep pushing, bro. Like, and when I say keep pushing, don't push it down. Just like show up for yourself and all that. So yeah, that's about it, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Tychon, any words?
Brother, thank you. Like, you're an example of what, when we thought of he's a guy, like
encompassing that for
you
sure.
You encompass that, right? And I think like obviously there's no point that we get to that's a perfect point where we're the perfect man. But like you're doing the work, and like every interaction that I have with you makes me better.
Growth.
Likewise, bro.
And I think that's like where I'm at in my life. It's like I only want to be around people who encourage me to be my best, and like you embody that. And I think like your message today will do that for so many more people. And I think that's why it was so important for us to do this. And I appreciate you saying yes.
Yes, sir, man.
And like, thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. I respect, bro. Love, brother.
Well, yeah, there you guys have it. You know what I mean? That's a wrap on this episode. He's a Guy Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, please. Let us know if there's anything out there that you guys would love to speak about. We'll be trying to put that in motion for you and get that out to you guys. So from us to you, be safe. Blessings.